The first time Lena stepped onto the stage at the Crimson Lounge, she felt alive in a way she hadn't in years. The lights were low, the air thick with sweat and cigarette smoke, and the bass from the speakers thumped like a second heartbeat. She wasn't Lena anymore. On stage, she became Velvet, the woman men couldn't look away from, the one they'd spend their last dollar to touch. But beneath the glittering surface, Velvet had a secret. She didn't just dance for the attention, she danced for revenge. Before the Crimson Lounge, Lena was just another girl trying to escape a dead-end town. But life had other plans. She met Damien, a smooth-talking charmer with promises as sweet as poison. He made her believe in dreams, only to shatter them with his fists and debts. When Damien sold her to a crime ring to pay off what he owed, Lena's world went dark. But she escaped. Barely. The scars on her body faded, but the ones in her mind stayed sharp. And so, Lena became Velvet, the seductress with a killer's smile. She would take everything from men like Damien, one body at a time. Velvet quickly became the star attraction at the Crimson Lounge. Men came from all over the city just to see her perform. But Velvet wasn't interested in just any man. She had a type. Wealthy, entitled, cruel. She watched them from the stage, picking out the ones with too much arrogance and not enough soul, the ones who reminded her of Damien. Her method was flawless. She'd lure them in with a private dance, whisper promises of a night they'd never forget, and slip something into their drink. By the time they realized they were too weak to fight, she'd lead them to a secluded spot, sometimes their penthouses, sometimes the back rooms of the club. And that's where the fun began. A kiss on the neck, a blade between the ribs, no mess, no noise. Just another missing person in the morning news. Weeks turned into months, and Velvet's body count grew. But you can't hide bodies forever. The police started connecting the dots, men from different backgrounds, but with one thing in common, the Crimson Lounge. Detective Ethan Cole was assigned to the case, young, sharp, and relentless. He didn't buy the robbery gone wrong stories or the accidental overdoses. He knew there was something darker happening. And Velvet? She saw him coming from a mile away. But Ethan wasn't like the others. He wasn't arrogant or cruel. He was careful, watching her from the shadows, piecing together the truth. Velvet found herself drawn to him in a way that confused her. For the first time, she felt something other than hatred, a flicker of curiosity. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. One night, after a particularly brutal kill, Velvet found something she wasn't expecting. A note slipped into her dressing room mirror. "I know what you did, Lena, but I'm not the only one watching." Her blood ran cold. Only one person ever called her Lena anymore. Damien. She thought he was dead. She wanted him to be dead. But the note meant he was alive, and worse, he was close. Velvet's carefully constructed world began to crumble. She wasn't the only hunter anymore. Now, she was the prey. With Damien lurking in the shadows and Detective Cole closing in, Velvet knew her time was running out. But she wasn't about to go down quietly. She set a trap for Damien, using herself as bait. The night of the showdown was like any other at the Crimson Lounge, music blaring, lights flashing, and bodies moving in rhythm. But behind the scenes, it was a war zone. Damien showed up, smug and confident, thinking he still had control over her. But Velvet was no longer the scared girl he once knew. She led him into the same back room where so many of her victims had met their end. But just as she was about to finish him, Detective Cole burst in. The room froze. 3 people, 3 different agendas. Cole wanted justice, Damien wanted power, and Velvet? She just wanted it all to end. In the chaos, shots were fired. Blood splattered the walls of the Crimson Lounge one last time. When the dust settled, Damien was dead. Cole was injured, and Velvet? She vanished. The police searched for her for months, but it was like she never existed. Some say she fled the country. Others whisper that she still dances in clubs under a new name, hunting men who deserve her wrath. But no one really knows. All that's left are the bodies, the rumors, and the ghost of a woman who turned seduction into a deadly art. The Crimson Lounge eventually closed down, but the legend of Velvet lived on. To some, she was a villain. To others, a vigilante. But one thing was certain. No man ever looked at a stripper the same way again. Because you never know when a simple dance could be your last.